Are you tired Are you tired of watching shows that only give you general social media theory and expect you to figure out how to apply it to your own industry? Join us for this week's episode of Social Chatter, the industry's longest running social media marketing news talk show. Not only will you learn the latest breaking news, but you'll also gain practical advice on how to apply it. Now here's your host, Christian Karasiewicz.
Welcome, everyone, to Social Chatter, your weekly social media marketing news talk show. This is, let me check, episode 200 and I think 58, actually, 258. And this week, we've got an amazing show for you. It's going to be myself, Jim Fuhs from Fusion Marketing, and this week's guest is Juliette Stapleton. Now, I want to give you guys a quick rundown on what we're going to be covering on this week's show. You know, as usual, there are quite a number of topics each week, and we try to filter them out. We try to give you everything, but we want to make sure we put the most important ones in the show, and then we put, you know, some of the smaller topics in the blog post recap that goes out. Now, this week, we're going to be talking about TikTok's new marketing tools that they have launched. They've got a new marketing partner program. We're going to be talking about a very neat tool that they have to help you stitch together videos. In addition to this, though, we've got some updates across Instagram. They have some new caption stickers we're working on. Twitter's going to be updating the Twitter trends that you're seeing to help give you some more context. So we're going to talk about that, why that matters. And Facebook also has an update to Facebook Messenger. It might seem familiar if you're a WhatsApp user, but we're going to discuss that, why it's important for you as a business owner, and what you need to do in order to get your message out there. Now, in addition to this, we've got two tools we're going to be discussing, as well as questions for our guest, Juliette Stapleton. And we're going to be talking about visibility, specifically visibility on social media, because as you know, a lot of people are on social media and, you know, they're looking for, you know, maybe some information, maybe they're looking for some help. And you might have that information, but it's really hard sometimes to get in front of them. So I'm going to go and bring on Jim. Jim, it's fantastic having you back for Social Chatter 258. How you doing?
Great. How you doing?
Not too bad, man. Not too bad myself. So do you want to tell viewers a little bit about this week's guest?
Yeah, Juliette Stapleton. She is called the Visibility That Sells Strategist. She's a thought leader and a writer on a mission to help experts, coaches, and service providers build a presence that sets the stage from the unignorable first impression to the authority that positions them as an asset to their clients. And I know she really spends a lot of time on Facebook. We're going to have a couple great questions for her today to help everyone with their business Facebook visibility. So, and we had her on I think a couple months ago, and she's since moved from Ireland to Estonia. So she's now in a new location.
Fantastic. You know, and to let people know, I mean, I think it was episode 207. That was actually almost a year ago to this date. So she's been on here quite a few times, and we always have her back because she has some great information to share. She always shares fantastic techniques and tactics. So Juliette, thanks a lot for joining us for another episode of Social Chatter.
I'm so honored to be here, guys. Thanks for having me back. I really, really appreciate it. And I love sharing my tactics with you.
Fantastic. And I think we were talking beforehand. I think, is this the third time you've been on the show?
That's right. Yeah, I'm practically a regular. I'm practically a panelist now.
Yeah, I'll have to look up, you know, how many times we've had people on. I think you might be like either the at least top 5. I can tell you 4 people we've had on, maybe even the top person. So I'll have to check that out. So Jim, do you want to get started with this week's show? Like, tell people maybe what the first topic is?
Yeah, the first topic we want to talk about is TikTok. They're making a lot of moves, and they've introduced a marketing partners program, and they're adding about 20 companies that I think all with a bunch of various things. So they're really not paying attention to the fact that there's this threat that they're going to be banned from the U.S. So they're moving full speed ahead to monetize the platform.
Definitely. You know, and okay, so like So they're launching this marketing partner program. They're going to have nearly 20 certified partners across various areas of expertise. How does this impact a business, or does it? What's the purpose of this, I guess?
Well, I think they're just trying to show people that, hey, if you want to advertise, you want to get in front of people using TikTok, maybe it's no longer just, I don't know, my perspective, people spending, time creating this content that doesn't necessarily, to me, make sense for what I do as a business. But maybe it'll come up with the ways for people to say, oh, well, maybe I need to take a second look because I can reach that target demographic, especially since we know most of the people I think on TikTok are under the age of 30. So if that's your market, that may be something that you want to consider.
So what do you think, Juliette? Is this a good move for a business? I mean, are you a TikTok user? What do you think?
No, I'm not a TikTok user. Have never created a TikTok video. I was in the beginning. In the beginning, I was like Jim. I was saying, "Oh, that doesn't make sense to me. It's for the kids." But to be honest with you, I have been a TikTok consumer, especially when it comes to crazy cats videos. So I know what the TikTok is, and I'm happy that I do. And actually, today I was doing some research for this show, and I definitely see the way businesses can tap into that. Obviously, provided that your target audience is the consumers of videos on TikTok, which is younger generation. But by recruiting influencers in this area, you can really reach a lot of potential target clients through that, or customers through this platform. I love the fact that they are ignoring the threat. I love it, because you know what, politics change, and they're not just the US based company. I understand that the threat is to lose a big chunk of their users, but I think that they are kind of looking ahead and a big picture, and they understand that this could be a temporary thing, even if it happens, and maybe it doesn't happen, because there's a lot of talk and not always it's implemented. Especially, when it comes to internet and social media, we hear threats all the time. It's not the first time, that there's massive threats of censorship and closing down and restricting, and sometimes they're implemented. Like I know in Germany, YouTube was restricted access to YouTube for a while. I don't know at the moment. I'm not aware what's the situation at the moment. But it's good, and it's good that they're involving companies that will help them and help marketers like us to create content without actually becoming, without being on the phone all the time. So I'm glad, and being able to track, the performance and everything. I think that as a business, they're going in the right direction, 100%.
Yeah, and I'll say this. I mean, they're basically rolling out partnerships with, different stages of the funnel. So, for example, for people that need help with the campaign side of things, the creation side, actually executing on TikTok, and also making sure they measure it, they're working with numerous companies such as Bidalgo and Sprinkler and VidMob and Ignite XR and Poplar Studio and Cantor. So, various companies across different aspects of, what would be essentially a TikTok campaign. So I think this is a good move. I mean, I also find it very intriguing that they're ignoring any sort of threats that might be coming out as far as the platform being, shut down. I also look at this, and Jim and I were talking about this, and it made me think immediately of how Snapchat also started working. They started partnering with other companies as well to help make it easier for users to create content for the platform. Now, I will say this. I mean, if I'm a business and I look at the TikTok marketing partner program, I'm going to look at it and say, okay, well, even if my demographic is not on there, I think that I can at least get some ideas. Maybe I can learn about companies, for example, that are, that can help me maybe create something, or even teach me how to create something. In addition to that, though, if I'm not on TikTok, I can still leverage some of the ideas that I see, and maybe I'll roll that into maybe Instagram Reels, because obviously that is a topic, that's very similar. They're similar to TikTok, or any of my other platforms, because again, I mean, we talk about this every week, Jem, right? Every single social media platform wants the audience's attention. And so the only way they're going to do that is by offering some of these similar features. So if you see something on TikTok that looks useful, but hey, maybe that's not where my audience is at, how do I create something similar on the platform where they spend the time? Okay. So is there anything else you all want to add about the TikTok marketing partner program?
I would just say, keep an eye on it. It might be something that if you're a business and you're thinking about it, uh, you know, just keep up with it. It doesn't mean you need to jump into TikTok. I mean, I think kind of goes back to like I know Juliet really focuses on Facebook. You don't need to be on every platform. Don't chase the shiny objects. I mean, they said I think there's 100 million U.S. accounts. That's about a third of the population, but Facebook still has over 2 billion, Instagram over a billion, LinkedIn 600 and I think about 80 million. So it's like, sure, it sounds like, oh, I got to be on TikTok, but everybody's not on TikTok yet.
Definitely. Anything you want to add, Juliet?
Yes, I agree. And it's not even sometimes I love what Jim, you just said about, don't chase shiny objects. Don't feel like you have to be on the platform that has most users either, because you might have a smaller audience of people who are fitting the ideal client avatar for your business. And it could be a smaller niche. For me personally, it's Facebook, and it's not because of the numbers. It's simply because all my clients are only on Facebook. They're not really, barely on Instagram, but not really on any network. So it makes sense. So always do whatever you're choosing, use the common sense first.
Great point.
I love that. I love how you've basically distilled everything into just using common sense for marketing. A lot of people, they chase that shiny object, or they're just trying to do too much because, hey, somebody said I need to be, for example, on Instagram, or I saw a study recently, or sorry, I don't even actually think it was a study. It was kind of some made up data, and the company's running a summit, and they're like, hey, a lot of people are saying they want to use like YouTube, and it's like, well, yes, YouTube is a useful platform, but it doesn't actually apply to every single business. Some businesses just aren't on YouTube, and their audience isn't there. So you kind of have to use some common sense when you're going to decide which platforms you actually want to work on. And I mean, the key thing is, it's where's your audience at? If your audience is not on the platform, why waste your time on that platform? Maybe you can borrow some things from them, but you don't necessarily need to be, running yourself ragged, trying to be everything to everyone. Okay, Jem, so what's next? What topic do we go with?
Oh, TikTok did come out with a new feature that I think is quite fascinating called Stitch. Now, I don't know if it's completely rolled out, but this could be one of those things, like maybe it helps you with content creation, because what Stitch is about, it's actually allowing you to take, I think it's up to 5 seconds from someone else's video if they've given permission, and you can basically stitch it in to your content. So this is a pretty funny video that this person created. Obviously, I think this is the more creative person that has got the apple in their hand, but this looks like this young lady created a clip out, a stitch out of this. And so if you want to play it, it's pretty neat how they did it. And so she's got this apple, hits her head, and then and then when she originally made it, her stitch was actually, it's falling on her floor. So she found this other piece to stitch it in and make it look like it bounced off her head and into the other person's video. So I thought that was pretty creative way to use that, and it's probably going to get her some views. And then the original, if you want to call it, content creator, also I guess gets some we'll call it TikTok love by that happening. So it's kind of a different way of sharing, and so I actually think that's a pretty neat feature. But once again, it's like you saw how quickly that video went. I personally, from what my business does, there's other things I could be doing than figuring out all this creative stuff. But we are in a different world now. I do see we've got a lot more of this creativity because, even like you said, Juliet, you've sat there as a consumer and you watch these videos and it's like, yes, that's what we want you to do. Come watch videos and don't do anything else.
So the thing I like about this is just the collaboration aspect. So for example, if I don't know who this person is, I can easily now make a collaboration with them. And even though I'm just working together with them on a video, I think, it opens the door. And the key thing is, don't be afraid to go ask that person, hey, can we work together? Don't go approach it with, hey, can we work together? And I have X amount of followers and, pay me X amount of money, or, give me free product and things like that. Don't approach it from that angle, but actually approach it from, an authentic collaboration. What do you think, Juliette? Useful feature here? Would you use
I
this, or
love
do you think?
Can they please bring that to Facebook, please? Because it's brilliant. And what you just said, Christian, is just very, very on point. It allows you to authentically approach someone else and create basically like a joint venture without any awkwardness or going into talking to business or feeling bad about it. And you're doing it from creative point of view, but still, another person, whoever created the original video, it's always nice to be noticed, right? On every level, even if you're a celebrity, it's always nice to be noticed. It's always nice to be appreciated for the effort that you put into creating this piece. And I think that is a great feature. First of all, yes, both of the audiences of the people who are collaborating are getting exposed to two of these people. So not only it's great to position yourself by association with someone with a bigger audience, you can do some little clips using their videos and maybe get exposed to their audience. There is a lot of growth potential when you do things like that. That's why I said I want them on Facebook, these kind of things. But I don't know how it's going to work. So I think that in terms of being exposed to new audiences, having a really nice, authentic touch with the collaboration with the original creator, there's so many, and just the fun of it, and just getting more creative, which is great, especially these days, this year when we're in lockdowns, when we are stuck at home. This is a great way, even for us as people and as marketers, to get more creative with this. So I love that feature. I don't think it's available in all countries, though. I think that there was a list of countries that it's available. I know it's not available in Estonia, or maybe I'm mixing it up with something else, but could be.
But that is a good point. I think even a lot of times when apps get updated, it's a rollout. Like some people might have it, other people, like if you're a new TikTok user, maybe you don't have it right away because they want to see you use the platform a little bit. So a great point.
Not to make a correction, I just realized I've never been on TikTok as a platform. I watched the TikTok compilations on YouTube. So
there you go.
I will say this. I'm looking at these embedded TikTok videos, and the thing that really stands out to me, I like the fact that they're showing shares and comments and likes directly on the embed. So somebody doesn't have to go look for this. It's right there, and this just it makes it very inviting. You guys want to watch a couple more TikTok Stitch videos real quick?
Yeah.
Sure, why not?
Okay, so let's see what this one is. So this is another Stitch. Okay, I'm not sold on the second one there, and let's see what this third one is. This one actually looks like a problem.
It was all about the voice in that second one. I've seen it before.
So let's see what this last one is, and then we're going to move on to this is about geography not making sense, I guess. I gotta say, I mean, if you want to use these, you're gonna have to get creative. Not useful. Some useful maybe for a business. I think this would be more suited for potential collaborations. But hey, TikTok Stitch, a new feature for your editing on TikTok, so you don't have to use third-party tools. Okay. So, Jem, what's next? Do we have any more TikTok topics, or you want to move to something else?
No, we're done with TikTok. Let's talk about Instagram has come out with a new captioning feature, which I think is really good for the. It's the accessibility community is really the main reason, but they're coming out with a new sticker as well. So what this is going to do is it's actually in stories, you're going to have the ability to have captions on. So my thought is, well, what do you mean captions on? If you're doing some of your short video clips in stories, it's going to caption it for those people that maybe couldn't hear it. Or if you have captions on, like a lot of times now, Facebook, you can have captions on video, and automatically you're seeing captions. So of course, then you get into how well is it translating it. Could be a little bit, inaccurate. There's something to be aware of, because the captioning software has to listen to your voice and your dialect, and sometimes that could be a problem. But I think this is good, right? The captions that probably maybe in and of itself, people might be able to search for caption stories that might help people get some more followers, especially, you've got the folks in that community that really want to be able to participate in social. And I think sometimes we forget that people that are hearing impaired or have other issues, even with sight, that the captions is a very important feature.
Definitely, and I think I want to make sure I give a shout out here to Alessandro here as far as discovering this. So Alessandro noticed this on their Instagram account. So thank you, Alessandro, for finding this and sharing it. So what do you think, Juliette? Is Instagram caption stickers, you think they'll be useful? What's your thoughts?
Definitely anything to do with captions. Whenever there's an option to have captions on, I'm one of those people. I'm not impaired, in terms of my hearing, but I'm always impaired in terms of my devices. I had a phone for a very long time that just wouldn't work with the headphones. Something was not working. And so for me to be able to consume by just, reading subtitles, reading captions is perfect. And also a lot of times, let's just talk about human nature, right? We always sneak whatever we're doing. We have a habit of sneaking onto the social media and secretly scrolling it. So having captions on, for me as a marketer, is brilliant. So my audience, doesn't matter what circumstances, if they're trying to sneak away while they're watching a movie and the phone is on the other side, they can still consume what I am saying because of the captions. So anywhere, and I'm glad that they're doing that for stories. Stories are very interactive. I love stories on Instagram and Facebook, and to be able to hear, this is the most annoying thing for me, is that if I have my phone on silent, or I don't know what they're saying but I want to, or it's too loud. So yes, captions for me.
Definitely. And I think sometimes you'll also run across this in various organizations. Some organizations have a requirement where anything they publish, even if it's on social media, they do require you to actually have closed captioning on, for example, or at least have accessibility for people. So, you do have to keep this in mind. I'm glad that this is going to be coming to Instagram. To Jem's point, by the way, also just keep in mind, depending on the language. So for example, if it's English, chances are the captions are going to work almost perfectly. There may be some training that needs to go on, but when you do venture out to languages in other countries that are not your standard language, some of them, they need to be manually translated. And so the caption stickers, for example, might not work there. But again, this has not been rolled out to anyone yet. It's being tested within Instagram. And often that does mean it'll come out eventually, but Instagram captions stickers. Okay. Anything else you guys want to add to this topic, or you want to move to something else?
No, I'm ready to move on. Let's get into Juliette's, I think, favorite platform. Let's talk about Facebook a little bit. They've got some things going on that I think are of interest. And the first thing is there's some messaging forwarding limits, which I think is probably in some senses long overdue. And I think that, I think that's definitely something people need to be aware of. I think maybe it's partially because it does talk in the article. It is partially because of the elections, because people are, always like, and I don't know if you get them. I do every once in a while. I have friends will forward me some random article or message, and like, oh, you got to share this before it gets taken down, and or share this to 10 of your friends if you want to get money in your bank account. Yeah, so it's kind of like those old chain letters. You still get that even now with Facebook Messenger.
Absolutely, Jem. And I still can't believe that people fall for a lot of these things. I mean, yeah, it's unfortunate. I mean, it makes things harder. I will say that. So they're introducing these forwarding limits. Now, in addition to this, by the way, if you're a WhatsApp user, you probably might be saying, well, hey, this looks very familiar. And that's because they've introduced this on WhatsApp over primarily in India and countries where this type of information is, really just being shared with haphazardly, I guess I could say. Like WhatsApp has this, Facebook now has it, Twitter even has it. If you don't click on a link, for example, and you want to retweet it. So I'm glad they're doing this, but I mean, what do you guys think? Is 5 it's what, 5, right, Jim? So what do you think? Do you think this is something that like needs to be increased? Should it be like 25? What do you think?
Well, it is a couple ways to look at this. I mean, if you have a group, right, as an example, let's say you have a Facebook group or a Messenger group, which I don't think there's a limit how many people can be in a Messenger group, and that's where you're communicating. Well, you've already got the ability to get your message out there. I think if you consider things like even Messenger bots, right, there's been a lot of restrictions put on bots as far as being
Mhm.
able to just go out and, in a sense, spam people as it's sometimes looked at. So I think this is just in my perspective, I think this is long overdue. If I really want to get this information out to my friends, my community, there are better ways to do it than clogging up everybody's messenger feed. So I think 5 is more than enough, because I think you have people too that will go out there, add a bunch of people in Facebook, and then like, oh, join my group, join my group, join my group. They're spamming them. And then they wonder why, because they run out of invites on Facebook. So then like, oh, well, what's a workaround? And I think they thought Messenger was their workaround. I mean, what do you think, Juliette?
I totally agree. I totally agree. I never in my life forwarded anything to more than maybe 2 or 3 people. I don't think I ever did even to 2 or 3 people. I don't understand. I totally understand that anything that you would need to forward to so many people falls into the spammy. It's even if you don't have an intention, it's still quite a spammy thing. And I personally don't like messages. It's very, it interrupts my day, especially if they're of no value. So create groups. And as you mentioned, I don't either know of any limit on the groups, how many people can be in the group. Now, the groups can also get very messy and very loud, and anything can get lost in it. So we have to just find other ways of sharing information. But I love the fact that they're limiting it to 5. I think it's enough. I think that if you need to send information to more than 5 people, you have to find another way. And I hope it's going to stop all those forwarding to friends messages as well, because people are ignorant, and I'm not saying it with kind of bad way, but a lot of users on Facebook, not marketers, we're kind of savvy. We're the dinosaurs of this industry. We understand straight away, see through things. But regular people, I still even see some of my clients just buying into it. They think that somebody genuinely sent them a message that means something, and so that's why they respond, and there's a call to action forward, and so they do. So yes, I'm happy. I think 5 is enough, for this, and I don't really want to see it changed personally.
I will say this. I mean, a lot of people, I almost think like they need to set different tiers. So, for example, almost how you can have like lists on Facebook, only people that are in, for example, my close list that they could opt into. I could forward them X amount of things, and then have like a second tier list, and then a third. This almost actually reminds me a lot of like maybe Google Plus circles. For those of you who used to use Google Plus, they had these circles features where you could basically move people from one circle to the next based on almost like, I want to say like a circle of trust in a way, or kind of like LinkedIn, how they offer various levels to which you're connected with somebody, first, second, third tier, and so forth. And I think that might be a good way to potentially expand this while still controlling it. Now, the other interesting aspect is, this is designed to help the spread of misinformation in regards to COVID and the pandemic and all that sort of thing, and elections and politics. But I think that, we're looking at it from a marketing perspective. And I think that this is a feature that is sorely needed, because there's a lot of people out there, they'll get a message on Facebook and they'll believe it to be the gospel. Oh, this person, reach out to me directly. Well, maybe they seem like they did, but they really didn't. You're literally just on their list. So, I think you as a marketer just need to be very careful about utilizing some of these tools. In particular, Messenger is a great way to help spread information, but you need to create groups to go about doing that. And, for example, get somebody's permission, ask them, hey, what, would you like to be added to this group, versus just adding them to a group. And then, you in a way ruin that trust that you have with them. So they've got this forwarding limit on Messenger. Jim, do you guys want to take a look at the video real quick, the forwarding limit? I mean, it's basically just going to show you an error message. You want to watch that real quick?
Yeah, so people know what's about to happen to them.
Okay, so you go to send a message or forward. Let's make sure we say that correctly. And then they give you a message there at the top. It says forwarding limit reached. So just keep that in mind again. And I would say this, I mean, you want to be careful with how much you use these tools. So it allows you to forward it, but you want to make sure you're also not bumping up against that. I mean, yes, it's like a car. The car says, hey, it can go 200 miles an hour, but depending on the vehicle, some of them may not be able to go 200 miles an hour. They might tap out at like 100. And that same thing, I think, applies to a lot of these features as well. So if I'm using Messenger and I'm constantly hitting that limit, you also don't know what's happening on the back end. Maybe Facebook's logging the fact that, hey, you're hitting that limit a lot. So that might push you into, a tier that you're unaware of. So anything else you want to add about these new Messenger forwarding limits?
Well, I think this kind of goes back to I sometimes feel like, as an example, message forwarding, if you're doing more than 5 people, because I would agree with Juliette as far as when I forward things, it's almost like you're being lazy. There's better tools, there's better ways. Like, build an email list if you really want to get stuff out to a community, right? Remember, if you're on Facebook, you're on rented land. They could kick you off. And if you were depending on all your communication with people to be on Messenger, it's kind of like shame on you, right? Get back to basics. You own your email list, you own your website. So I think we've heard that a lot lately, right? People having issues with different platforms. Like, but what's your plan B if the platform even goes down? Because we've seen, especially right now, right, with the new Facebook. Juliette, what do you think of the new Facebook? Have they forced you to use it yet?
Oh yeah, yeah. I actually forced myself to use it. They offered me to check it out a few months ago, and yes, I had the love-hate relationships, but they didn't have enough features. There were things like you couldn't edit the thumbnail on your video, for example, and things like that on a personal profile. So there were a few annoying features then, and I switched back to the classic. But I'd say mid-August, I definitely decided, you know what, we need to adapt to change. It's going to happen. There's no point of screaming about it. Let's just go and figure it out. And so I switched on, and I've been on it. I don't know. I think we have no choice but to get used to it, right? So I don't want to say that I don't like it, because I'm already used to it. Now, a few weeks on, and it's not a novelty anymore. I'm finding where I need to find the features, and some things are. One feature that yesterday I had an issue with premiering one of the videos on my business page, and the invite friends option was missing. It was missing if I was using it as a page. I reloaded the page and I tried to use it as a user, as me, as my profile. I couldn't find it, and that's annoying, because that's what I was relying on, and that's why I was premiering it, so I could invite a lot of people. So we need to still wait until Facebook kind of sorts a couple of things out, and I'm sure that the problem with Facebook is such a huge platform, so many features. When they try and make such a huge update, this is only the 5th time that the look of Facebook is changing since it started, so there is so much to cover. Sometimes you'll open some sort of a page on the admin end somewhere, and the top looks new and the inside it looks old. So they're still going through the features, and I wish them all the best with that, because I heavily rely on this. But it's here now, so let's just embrace it and get used to it.
Right, because I do seem to see more where I guess people they just don't like the fact that they're being forced to change. And so even like this is going to be another thing. I'm sure you're going to hear people that creating some of these groups where they are trying to get people maybe to opt in for challenges. Is like, well, I can't forward my invite to all these people. It's like, well, you need to come up with a better way. And I think that's, so I think, like I said, I think it makes sense. I think especially with the politics that's going on right now in the U.S. with the elections, I know I've received several forwarded videos and other things like, oh, you got to watch this. And I'm like, I don't. It's like, I mean, the next step would be I will start to block some of these people. But at this point, I just don't respond. I haven't gone to that point. But that's the other thing you run the danger of. If you become this spammer, so to speak, people are going to block you and you won't be able to message them at all.
Definitely. You do have to be careful with a lot of the features that are rolled out by Facebook, because just because they're out there doesn't mean that you need to push them all to the limit, and you want to make sure as well, to Jem's point, you're building something on rented land. So for example, if you essentially putting your eggs in one basket, and all of a sudden something happens, maybe something doesn't work, maybe you do something that makes Facebook take a look at your account, then it can cause issues to your business. So just be mindful of that. Anything else you want to add about this feature, by the way?
Yeah, actually, oh God, I wanted to add something and then I had a blank mind because when we were talking about the features, and a lot of people, you see, this is to do with adapting to change, right? Life is constantly changing. We're living in the age that these days things are changing so much faster than any of the previous generations experienced, right? So this is an odd time. And for me, my stance on this is get used to trying to change. Try to change, embrace the change, meet the change when it happens, don't resist it, because it's going to happen whether you want it or not. But there's other ways, like it actually boosts your creativity. It boosts some inventive ways for you to reach your market. And so the less time you spend being frustrated, the more time you have for that creativity. That's my stance. I hope you take it with you.
Yeah, absolutely.
I think that's great advice. Okay. So Jem, you want to move on to the next topic?
Yeah, let's do one more topic. Facebook Watch is actually coming out with topics.
So what do we have going on here? You want to tell viewers?
Yeah, so Facebook Watch in the past has really been like, if you haven't figured it out yet, Facebook tracks your behavior and kind of serves up things that it thinks you'll like based on your behaviors on the platform. Kind of like when Pixels do things like, hey, how come I'm seeing this thing I was looking at on Amazon in my Facebook feed? So with topics, now it's going to let you have say, okay, these are things I want to see in Watch. So they're going to serve up these videos that you now get to kind of pick what you want to see. And it's interesting because this is a trend in some other platforms. Even Twitter has rolled out a topics ability to follow topics as well. So I think the more people can personalize their feed, I guess the people feel like, oh, this is what I want to see. But I will say what was interesting, I was watching a Netflix movie, I think it's called The Social Dilemma, and I had never thought of it this way, but because the algorithm tracks your behavior, the three of us all have different news feeds. And so when we see these people get in arguments, it's because, well, we're not seeing the same information. And you're like, well, didn't you see that article? Well, no, I didn't see that article because I have different habits than you as far as what I follow. So I think this is a good feature. I think, I don't use Facebook Watch a lot myself. I tend to like, if I have friends that are going to have a live stream, I'll have that on my schedule and I'll watch it, but I don't necessarily go into Watch looking for videos because I think it goes back to behavior. If I want to watch long form video, I'm probably going to go to YouTube. And I think that's where, Facebook is attempting to get some of that YouTube viewership by having people go to Watch.
It's a very good point. And here's the other question I have for both of you. So how much time do you think somebody should spend customizing, in this case, their Facebook Watch topics? Should they spend, hours doing this? Do you think they should maybe just spend 30 minutes on it? What's your initial take on this assessment?
I think that you shouldn't be spending too much time on it, but you should do it ever so often when you feel like the videos that you're served are a bit repetitive. Now, I'm really, really happy we're talking about this because I actually haven't heard about the topics. And now I'm not going to be bombarded with pictures of huskies and Staffordshire Bull Terriers, not pictures, videos that I watched one and then all of them are like this. So it's a great way for me to just spend 2-3 minutes, go select some things that I might want to see. I don't just like Jem, I don't go to watch videos. What happens is that sometimes you open up a link to a video and it opens in the watch sort of interface, and then the next video is served to you, or you're teased by previewing the next video that is for your interest, whatever you've been doing there, and you already know I watch a lot of dog videos. So this is where it's a great feature, but don't spend too much time on it. Just go and customize a little bit, and then ever so often come back and visit it. And it's the same. The good point here. There's two things I wanted to add. What Jim said about Facebook trying to compete with YouTube. Well, Facebook is trying to compete with Netflix, with Apple TV. Facebook wants to be the biggest watch platform. So there's a lot that's going to happen on Facebook Watch, I reckon, in the next 10 years. This is going to be a changing decade if it goes according to Facebook's plan. And I think that we are at the early stage here where we probably don't have a habit of watching Facebook Watch. But eventually it might happen, just like with YouTube. Some people are now constantly, my husband is constantly on YouTube, and 10 years ago he wasn't.
Yeah, that's a great point, Juliette. I had, because I'm not on Watch all the time, but I have forgotten that there actually are some series, I believe, on Facebook Watch that people like, they've got these creators that actually have like shows that are on Facebook Watch, but because I guess I don't think about it that way. In fact, what's funny is I think because of how things have changed, like we actually now subscribe to YouTube TV and we're able to watch it through our Apple TV device. So that's how I get my local news. But then I can also just flip over to YouTube, watch it on my television. But I haven't thought like, oh, well, let me get the Facebook app out there and watch Facebook Watch, but I probably could. So I think that's a really good point. And I think there was a point, and I haven't gone back and looked at it. Like even if like I don't know if you did it, Christian, with Social Chatter, you could actually say, "Oh, I want my show to appear on Facebook Watch," and there was like an application process at one point, but I had not revisited that because I noticed every once in a while my videos show up in Watch.
You don't need to these days. There is just a tick box when you're uploading a video at the next day after you've entered details, and there's just a box you tick, available on Watch. So it's pretty mainstream these days. But they do actually encourage us to create shows like Social Chatter that are posted at the same time, every week. So they're kind of like something that you come back like a telly. So definitely there's been an agenda like that.
Yeah, I mean, I think here's the thing. I mean, I think that I'm glad Facebook's rolling this feature out, but again, you want to make sure you customize it enough, and also look at where you spend your time. I mean, to your point, everyone's points. I mean, I primarily go to YouTube if I want to watch a long form video. I go to Facebook, and a lot of times I don't also necessarily like I don't like the way that it sometimes takes over what you're trying to do. And so, for example, like maybe they need to improve the experience a little bit because, so that it functions similar to maybe how YouTube functions. At the same time, though, I also don't go like if I'm going to go watch a video, I go to YouTube because that's what's there. I don't go to Facebook to then necessarily sift through all the newsfeed content, which in some cases could be, it's sponsored ads. It's, somebody's political statements, for example. It's some photos, and then maybe there's a show worth watching. So my primary amount of time is not spent going to Facebook Watch to actually find videos to watch. I already kind of know what I want to watch. So here's the thing. I think over time we'll see this improve. Everybody wants eyeballs on their content. So it has to get better if they want people to stick around the platform. Okay, so we have a couple more topics that we're not going to get to today. And what we're going to do is we're going to put those in the blog post recap. And that blog post recap is going to go out this weekend. And you can get that at socialchefs.com/daily. Simply join the newsletter. And what we'll do is I'll send you a notification when that is posted. Again, it's going out this weekend. So socialchefs.com/daily. Okay, so what we're going to do now is we're going to switch to the second segment of the show, and that's where we interview our guest. In this case, we're going to be talking with Juliette about gaining visibility on social media. Obviously, you're primarily on Facebook, but we're going to talk about Facebook and potentially some other ones. So, Jim, do you want to start off with questions for Juliette?
Yeah. So the first question that we had, Juliette, was in fact I got to find it here. I thought I had it up. Was how do you build visibility fast on Facebook?
I'm going to answer from the point of organic marketing here. I'm not going to talk about paid advertisement or paid marketing. it's very important when you want to build visibility. It's possible. It's really, really possible. You can create visibility super fast. You do need to know, though, who you're targeting, because majority of people who are struggling with building their visibility fast are not clear on their ideal client avatar. So if you know who your ideal client is, then you can have a strategy where there's sort of like a two legs to the strategy, and you have to focus on both at the same time. So one is growing your audience. And by growing your audience organically, what I mean is actively engaging with people who fit that ideal client avatar. You need to reach out. You need to engage with them publicly in groups or pages that they like. Add them as friends. Start growing your. I know you have 5,000 friends limit, but that's not a limit, because you can always clean up your 5,000 and get rid of some people who you're not aligned with. Just get more people in. But you need to know who you are attracting, and then at the same time create content that speaks to the frustrations and desires of your ideal client. And that's a very, very good way of building your audience. Now, to really, really make it, to create the visibility that sells, you really need to think about your authority at the same time as well. And one of the strategies that worked for me, and I want to share today, is actually starting your own online interview series. So not only you will please Facebook, because Facebook loves the shows that we were just talking about, Facebook Watch, and Facebook loves that type of content, but you can also position yourself as authority by association, by inviting people who are successful in your niche, or just more successful than you are at the moment, and by association you are positioning yourself as an expert. Even if you have absolutely zero background, that will grow your visibility, your status, the way people perceive you super, super fast. And commit to it. Do it regularly, and you will be also exposed to the audiences of your guests, which again grows your audience. Make sure you actively engage. Our attraction marketing is not looking pretty and posting something. It's really all about conversations, relationships, engaging, giving that energy, and then getting back more energy from your activities.
A quick follow-up to that too, Juliette. Do you think it's better then, if you're in a group, is it better to act as your personal profile or as your business page profile?
100% as a personal profile. I personally don't even trust business pages. I have this deep inside, I don't trust pages. I think I'm like a normal human. We don't trust companies, organizations. We trust people. We fall in love with people. We want to be surrounded by people that are like us and like us. So definitely as personal profile, and of course this is when you're using Facebook organically, using your personal profile. Even if you have a business, elevating your personal brand will also help building that know, like, and trust factor, and especially the trust factor. Again, people work with people, people buy from people, and this will benefit overall marketing strategy of your company 100%.
So do we have another question for Juliette, Jim?
Yeah, we sure do. So how do you target your ideal clients with your personal profile on Facebook? Because I know you talk quite a bit about that in what you do on a daily basis. But I was really curious. We're really curious to see, how do you actually? What are some of the tactics to doing that?
It's a great question, especially that it sort of naturally develops from what I was just talking about, in terms of using groups as personal profile and doing things as your personal profile on Facebook. First of all, it all starts with first impressions. So you can join a group or be active on a page that maybe your ideal clients would like to hang out. When you're doing it as a personal profile, people will go check you out. If they're on the mobile phone, they will click on your profile. If they're on the desktop, they might hover over your name, and a little pop-up shows up with some information about you. And this is a treasure trove of leads. If you're doing it right, you can generate a lot of leads from just that, from that first impression, by optimizing your profile correctly. And forget about making your profile about you. I know it's your virtual representation, but if you look at it as a funnel, as the first step of this marketing funnel, where you're bringing them closer and building relationships with them, if you swap some of the things and make it about them, you will get so many people from checking you out, becoming your leads, going deeper into your sales funnel. So how do you do that? There's a couple of ways. First of all, go into your about section and have a look. What is the information that is not absolutely important for a person when they see that it explains that you can help them? So your education, for example, doesn't do that, right? Where you went to school, your marital status, not necessarily. What does that is some sort of call to action. So what I like doing, and it's a little trick, I set up my business page. You can go into about section on your personal profile and link your business page to your personal profile as a workplace. You probably already have it done, but instead of a title, use call to action. So for example, instead of saying I am entrepreneur at, and there is a page, you can say, and this is what I have on my profile, I say, want more clients? Follow me. Then Facebook adds at and links my page. So when somebody checks me out, say on a desktop, and they hover over my name. Now in the new Facebook, we used to be able to see the cover, which was also, you could use strategically, but we don't have that anymore. There's just a little bit of information in your profile picture. So the first thing they see is the workplace, is my business page. And it says, want more clients? Follow me at. So straight away, anyone who wants more clients, which is already getting closer to my ideal client avatar, they will get teased by that information. So they'll go and click on it. What's this woman talking about? And they'll come to my page. Then on my page, I will have the cover that will have some credibility markers, for example, logos from the publications that I was published on, or you can advertise your group if you want, whatever strategically positions you as authority, you can put in your cover image. Another place that you can use is the featured image on the sidebar, because it's very big and very prominent. So if you have currently more than one image, get rid of the other ones, just use one, because it's really big. You can put so much information on it if you wanted, or just put a little bit, but the most important information that answers a question: what's in it for me? And not for you, but for your ideal client, right? So, and direct them deeper into, either following your business page. I like that funnel. They check me out, they see want more clients, follow me at Juliette Stapleton, which is my business page. They go there, they engage with a video or two. I have them as a custom audience to retarget because they were watching my videos and things like that. So it's like a great little loop that turns your personal profile into the funnel. So what you do then, and we're talking about the first question that you asked, how to build your visibility. And I said, you go and you engage. And when you engage, more people start checking you out. The more people start checking you out, the more leads that funnel that you've created with your personal profile generates. Simple.
And I'll say this: don't engage in a spammy way. For example, don't necessarily hijack somebody's content, but also if you're going to engage with somebody, do it. Just give, basically. So give back to that person. Don't try to, hey, yes, I'm going to help you, and then go check out, for example, or push them to check out your website or to download something that you're offering. You have to work with those people. You have to massage them in a way. You have to get them. I mean, we talk about this a lot, Jim, especially on our podcast, about like building know, like, and trust with people, so that they see you're active. They aren't immediately going to go and buy from you or even check out anything that you have to say. But if they start to see, hey, you know what, this person provides really good quality information, they're going to then, you're going to move them down the funnel just by providing that information. And I'll say this, I mean, Facebook groups, a lot of people, I see them want to join a group as a page. And I actually think that's a pretty bad tactic to try, because a lot of people in groups, they don't want to engage with a page. They want to know who it is that they're speaking with. They don't care that, your business offers all these services. They want to know, who is this individual? Are they trustworthy? And they'll eventually get to your business. So if a group, for example, has it in their rules where they don't allow pages to join, big deal. Start off as your profile and leverage some of the techniques and the tactics that Juliette has shared here. Is there anything else you want to add? Do we have any other questions for Juliette, Jim?
No, this is some great information. I know I definitely a few months ago had not thought of my personal page in that way, but I definitely have revamped it so people know more of what I do, because even to the point, like if I'm in a group and I start making some comments, they start to check out my profile. Well, if I don't show what my business is, what I do, I'm missing an opportunity that potentially, for a connection that might maybe lead to more business.
Anything else you want to add to this before we move on to our third topic, or third segment, sorry, of the show?
I just want to sort of summarize what you said, Christian, and when you are online, whatever you're doing, do it exactly the way, with the same integrity, like you would be doing it offline in say, a house party.
Mm-hmm.
You would be jumping onto business conversations, right, on a house party. That's what Facebook is. So there's a lot of business connections created on house parties, trust me, because if you're obsessed with your business and I'm obsessed with my business, we're going to end up talking about it. But first we need to talk about what's at hand, maybe a drink, a food, a house dog, so just keep that in mind when you're engaging. And yes, sharing from the heart, share your knowledge. I actually have a strategy, very, very quick strategy. I share freely, but then I take my comment and I repurpose it into a blog article. So I never waste any time. I add it into Trello, and later on I'll rewrite it as a blog article. So if it's a good share, you're actually, you can be in a creative share giving mode, and you can write some great stuff that you can use later on to create content.
Love the points. Absolutely. Great information. Okay. So during the first segment, we talked about the latest social media news this week, TikTok, their new marketing tools. We talked about Facebook Messenger limits for forwarding, and we talked about Instagram caption stickers. Then we moved into talking with Juliette about how to gain more visibility. Love all the tips that she has shared. So now what we're going to do is we're going to move into the third segment of the show, and that's where we're going to talk about two tools that we think can help you as a business. Now, the first one, I think this one was actually one that you suggested, Juliette, and so I'm going to actually let you cover this one. It's called SocialBee. You want to tell viewers what SocialBee is, how it works, what it does? I
am such a big advocate for SocialBee, even though I completely missed that I was supposed to check this tool out. So I'm ready to shout out loud about SocialBee. It's something that every marketer should have, for the simple reason. So what SocialBee does, it's not just a platform that can schedule your social media posts. It's a platform that allows you to create buckets or categories for types of posts that you want to automate. So you have the overall picture, for your readers, for people who follow you on social media. You have a total sort of your authority, your personal stories, your sharing value, and you have this kind of wholesome content available there by allowing SocialBee to tap into these buckets as you tell them with the schedule that you set up, and just post those things, one after another. So, for example, what do I have? I have all my past publications. Every time I get published somewhere, I add a post into that category for past publications with a nice graphic, with maybe a couple of variations of the post. And what it does, it's automatically posting, all the posts I have in the category. Say I have 20 posts, and then when it's finished, it goes back to number one. So if I decide to share once a week one of the articles that I've written, that's 20 weeks worth of content. That's one of the times I have to post something, and it adds to my status. It adds to how people perceive me. New people who come into my world, on my page, on my personal profile. These posts allow me to generate that perception that I want them to have of me on autopilot without me actually doing it. And what I really, really like about SocialBee is that they also have, most of the social media scheduling tools can't post onto the personal profile. They used to be able to, but that stopped, I think, in 2018. So SocialBee has a mobile app that sends you a notification, and just with the 2 clicks, you can copy the caption, it transfers the picture or the link, and you can post it on your personal profile. So I am all the time on Facebook for my followers. If I'm honest with you, I'm much less time really there. So I love this tool.
So, one thing I want to really touch base on with this, so they have a 14-day free trial, and I think this one, let's see what the pricing is. I think it starts at, what is it? A few dollars a month. Let's see. So You have a bootstrap version, $19 a month. Sorry, which here's the thing though, it's $19 a month, and they say that on average they can save you 8 hours per week. So you have to look at your amount of time that you generate per hour. And with that, you're going to get access to one workspace. You're going to have access to one user per workspace, and then 5 social profiles, 10 content categories, and ability to automatically pull in RSS feeds as well. So that's actually a big tool that can save you some time. For example, let's look at it like this. If I am subscribed to somebody's email newsletter and I'm getting their email, well, if I move that into an RSS feed, for example, into SocialBee or even an RSS feed reader, I can easily see when they publish new content. So what that's going to do is it's going to free up my time that I have to spend going through emails that people send. Instead, I just go to my RSS feed reader. It's got, 10 publications that I subscribe to, and I can easily then share those, in this case, directly in the SocialBee platform. So it's $19 a month. And then if you jump up to the accelerator plan, or the accelerate plan, it doubles the number of social profiles. You can have 10. You can have up to 5,000 posts per category, and it's $39 a month. So you just have to look at it from the time perspective, the amount of time it's going to save you. The other topic, though, I want to discuss on this real quick is the automation side of things. So, for example, automation, a lot of people, when they hear automation, they think, okay, well, people are just going to set it and forget it. Why should this tool be any different, Juliette?
Well, it's not just about set it and forget it. You have to do it with intention. So, for example, I gave you an example of one of the categories I'm using to position myself as a thought leader by sharing the articles that I've written. I very easily can forget, to do it, or it takes time to go and schedule it. So you don't set it and forget it. You revisit it, and maybe you can have a category of posts that are positioning posts and like talking to the frustrations of your ideal client, with call to action. It's not something that you set and forget, but it's something that allows you to free so much time. Automation is brilliant when you use it right. So when you let SocialBee look after your evergreen content like that, like positioning, share every interview you've ever been on, so authority definitely, value posts, tips, whatever you can share value as your business, whatever you do, any kind of things like that. You can create categories, whatever is aligned with your business, right? But then what your time goes on to is live streaming, connecting to people, engaging in groups, so you already, every time you write a good post, add it to SocialBee, let it reuse it again and again and again. People don't, Facebook and any social media platform is so noisy. What you've shared today, nobody will remember in 2 months. They will remember maybe that you spoke about something like that, but that's good because you want to be known for something, right? So it's okay to be sharing the same thing over and over again. It's not going to bombard anyone. People will hardly remember. For you, as Christian just said, it's just freeing so much time. So it's a good type of automation tool, in my opinion, that allows you then to focus on real connection, like live streaming and talking to people.
Definitely. Jim, anything else you want to add about SocialBee or any of the points that Juliette made?
No, I think it's it's a tool worth checking out. I think if you're gonna get these tools, though, make sure you're using them, because you can end up with a bunch of tools that you're paying for and not using. So definitely has some great features.
Can I just add that this is a tool in terms of paying for it and forgetting about it. This is the idea with this tool. You spend several hours to set it up, not in one go, maybe several hours to set it up. Collect the old posts that you already, or content you've created. Think about what content you want to curate and post, and you set it up. And then the $20 a month are covering your free time. It's not something that you will be paying money for nothing. It will continue posting. It will just keep doing things on itself. You don't even have to go and look at it if you don't want to, right? I prefer coming back to it ever so often, but once a month, spending 1 hour just having a look, is everything still aligned with what I'm doing, and creating these kind of things. It's so totally worth it. And then when you have a launch, if you have a launch for 2 weeks, for example, you can create a schedule that you can you can create all the content in advance and pre-schedule it to come out every day, for example, something that just adds to what you're doing. I think it's a brilliant tool. It's not something that you pay and forget about it. So spend that time during your 2 weeks trial, and it's worth it.
Fantastic. Okay, so we got one other tool we want to touch base on real quick during tool time, and that is called, and I'm not sure really how to say this, Jem. I think it's X.Ai. I think is that the right name? What do you think?
That's what I would call it.
So what does this tool do?
It's actually, and I've used it a little bit. It's pretty cool. You are able to schedule meetings with this, but then you're copying your assistant, and the assistant is the software. So if someone replies to me when I've set this up, say, hey, I need to change the time, the tool actually will say, well, when are you available? Or you can, and so it acts like you have like an assistant. So it's really pretty fascinating. And then I get like a summary every day of what meetings I have coming up from this as well. It'll send me an email. I haven't gone into using it as much as I could. I've been using Calendly to schedule stuff, but it'll even pull it, the stuff I've scheduled in Calendly into it. But it's a great way if you want to start using AI as a way to kind of interact with maybe somebody writes back and says, hey, I need to reschedule that meeting. Well, this tool will actually go through the process of acting like it's your assistant. It's like, oh, I see, Christian, you like to reschedule, and it gives the people some options for rescheduling.
Definitely. And I love tools that are starting to tap into the AI aspect. I mean, they make a lot of sense. In this case, a lot of people can spend they can waste so much time just trying to get somebody scheduled. And that's where, like, for example, instead of doing the old way, which is, let me send you a calendar, let me send you a link or a bunch of emails back and forth. When can we get you scheduled? Instead of that, it's moved on to, let me send you a link to a calendar that I have set up with certain times that are available. Now, the next iteration is, hey, let me send you a link and let's actually have you kind of communicate with the software, because it really isn't that complicated. I mean, if I need to reschedule something, I shouldn't have to always go back to the same person. Hey, I need to reschedule. I need to reschedule. What's the right time? In this case, I think that it can really save you a lot of time. Now, from a cost standpoint, by the way, I think this is, there's a free plan that they offer. So they do offer a free plan, and it's free. It will let you have unlimited calendar pages, unlimited meetings, large group meetings. However, if you do want to bump up to some of the more advanced features, in addition to that, unlimited calendars, the ability to accept payments when somebody schedules an appointment, for example, that's a great way to generate some revenue. If you're, for example, doing some coaching, having custom signatures, Zoom integration or advanced Zoom integration, Zapier integration, and more, that's going to bump you up to $8 per user per month. And then the team plan is $12 per user per month. But that's actually not again, we're going to talk about this in terms of what Juliette said earlier, which is if you want to gain more or better visibility on social media, you need to be active, and you need to at least be publishing new content or staying top of mind for people, and at the same time, though, a lot of people take the approach of they're going to spend all their time just publishing content and engaging on social media. And that doesn't allow them, for example, to actually meet those people. And so that's where, like, while it's good to do that, you want to make sure there's a healthy balance. And that's where a lot of these tools come in handy. They save you a lot of time, I think, in the long run. But again, to Jem's point, make sure you don't use too many tools, because then you can basically get tool fatigue. Okay. Is there anything else you want to add about these tools, or anything that you thought of that might be useful for users?
I would just say, especially now, you've got a chance to kind of, people have probably been home a lot. If you're not scheduling stuff, right? If you're not taking a look at how to be more efficient with your time blocking, like you don't have to spend all day on social media, take the time to do that. I think that's where, like, both of these tools can help with that, make yourself more efficient so you can enjoy life a little bit more.
Love that. Anything else you want to add, Juliette?
No, I just love it. I love how Jim finished, enjoy life, because I was just going to say exactly the same thing. We grow and build and grow our businesses so we can have a dream life. And the dream life doesn't mean we have to work 24/7. Anything we can use that can replace us without taking the human side, as in like who you are. This is why I'm such a big advocate for personal branding, and do what it takes to connect, to create that personal connection, and then use these tools to help you free up the time for unnecessary, non-essential things.
Love the advice. Absolutely love that. So before we end the show, I just want to go around real quick. So Juliette, what's the best place for people to get in touch with you if they have questions, want to chat more about some of the techniques or the tactics you shared?
Sure. Look on Facebook, Juliette Stapleton. You can follow my page or follow my personal profile. That's where the magic is.
Fantastic. So be sure you connect with Juliette. Again, we've put her link here. It's facebook.com/Juliette Stapleton official, all one word. Jim, how about you? If people have questions that want to, pick your brain on certain things, how can people get in touch with you?
Yeah, so LinkedIn is a great place to connect with me, as well as Twitter. And I just dropped in the comments, Christian and I, for those of you that haven't been around, have been working on a podcast called Launch Your Live. And so episode 25, we just put the optimal length for your live videos. We've just released an episode this past Monday. So shared that in the comments. Would love for you guys to subscribe, listen, review on your favorite podcast player. And it's been a lot of fun.
Definitely. And if they have questions, they can tweet us or connect with us on any of the social platforms at Launch Your Live if they're live video questions. And we actually may turn those into episodes depending on what that question is. So feel free to, don't hesitate and reach out. So that's going to do it for this week's episode of Social Chatter. Again, if you want to check out the recap, it's going to go out this weekend, socialchefs.com/SC258. There's also a podcast, an Alexa flash briefing, and don't forget our email newsletter as well. So next week, we're going to be joined by Chris Stone. That's going to be September 17th. I think I got the time right here, 11 a.m. Eastern Standard Time. And that's going to be on youtube.com/socialchefs or facebook.com/socialchefs. Thanks a lot for tuning in, everyone. We will see you all next week. Bye.